Today, we're diving into one of humanity's oldest and maybe most mysterious sacred texts, the Rigveda. But look, this isn't just some dusty old book of hymns. Think of it as a window, a portal into the living story of a people, their incredible vision of the cosmos, and their search for meaning in it all.
And let's just jump right in with this one idea from the very heart of these ancient hymns. This single line, right here, it tells you so much. It's this incredibly modern-sounding idea that behind all the different gods, all the forces of nature, there's a single ultimate reality. It's a mystery they didn't pretend to have solved. But wow, did they explore it with some serious awe.
So, to really get the Rigveda, you gotta do a little time traveling with me. We need to go back more than 3,000 years into the world of the people who actually composed these hymns. Now, this wasn't a world of big cities or empires. Just try to picture it: open skies, wild rivers, and a deep personal connection with the forces of nature. Their story, it really is like a whisper from the very dawn of time. Okay, so what is this thing exactly? Well, it's not a book with a single author. Not even close. It's a massive collection. We're talking over 1,000 hymns, put together by generations of poet-sages. It's all in there. Their praise, their prayers, and their deepest, most challenging philosophical questions, all passed down through the ages. And their story, well, it begins on the biggest scale possible, the birth of the universe. But their creation myth isn't some single let there be light moment. No, it's more of a slow burn. It all starts with this immense cosmic heat, a kind of spiritual fervor. And out of that fire, truth and an eternal law are born. Only then does everything else, like night and the sea, start to take shape. All right, let's meet the divine forces that basically ran their world, the gods they were talking to every single day. And these weren't distant figures sitting on a cloud somewhere. They were powerful, active presences you could feel in the fire, see in the storm, and look up to in the sky. Now, the most important connection between people and the gods was Agni, the god of fire. But he was so much more than just a deity. Think of him as the divine messenger, the cosmic telephone line. He was the priest of the gods, the mouth they used to receive offerings from humans. He was the link. And this role as the middleman, it's absolutely key. Agni would carry the smoke and the essence of the offerings up to the heavens. And in return, he'd bring the divine blessings, all those good things like wealth, strength, and life back down to earth for the people. A perfect two-way street. Among the heavy hitters in their pantheon were two kings who could not be more different. On one side, you have Indra. He's the loud, thunderbolt-wielding warrior king who loves to party, smashes demons, and frees up the life-giving waters for everyone. Then on the other side, you have Varuna. He's the quiet, all-seeing cosmic judge who makes sure the universe runs on schedule and keeps an eye on human behavior. One is all action, the other is all order. Okay, so you have all of these powerful gods. How did you interact with them? How did you stay on their good side and, help keep the universe from falling apart? Well, the answer was central to their entire lives: the sacrifice. And this is really crucial. Sacrifice wasn't just about giving a gift or saying, "I'm sorry." It was understood as a divine contract, a cosmic pact. The deal was simple. Humans feed and strengthen the gods with their offerings, and in return, the gods keep the world running and protect humanity. It was a partnership. And this pact had a very clear instruction manual, almost like a kind of spiritual technology. First, you light the fire to summon Agni, your messenger. Next, you prepare Soma, which was this sacred drink that was like an energy boost for the gods. Then, you chant the sacred hymns, the very words we're talking about today, to power up the ritual. And finally, if you did it all right, the gods, feeling nourished and happy, would grant you their favor. This powerful line comes from a hymn about a very complex ritual, the horse sacrifice, and it gets right to the ultimate goal. See, the point wasn't destruction, it was transformation. The whole idea was to send the essence of the offering to the divine world, turning something physical into something spiritual, and connecting our world with theirs. Okay, so we've been talking about some pretty big cosmic stuff. Let's bring it back down to Earth. Because the Rigveda isn't just about gods and creation myths. It's about what it's like to be human in a pretty tough world. And these people were anything but abstract. Their hymns are just filled with these raw, totally relatable anxieties. In this line, a poet feels their worries literally eating them alive, just like rats chewing through a weaver's work. I mean,
That's a cry for help that you can still feel thousands of years later.
And when you look at what they actually prayed for, it's amazing how timeless it all is. They asked for a good family and enough wealth to get by. They wanted safety from their enemies and to be forgiven for their mistakes. They longed for light, for health, for strength, and for peace at home. Sound familiar?
You can really feel the tangible dangers of their world in their words. They were afraid of the literal dark of night, of the demons they believed were hiding in it, and of the enemies who threatened their very survival. Their hymns, these words, were their shield. They were their first and best line of defense.
So, the story of a life, with all its hopes and all its fears, eventually has to come to an end. But for the Vedic people, death was not the final chapter. Nope. It was just the beginning of one last sacred journey.
The belief was that after you died, your soul would travel to this incredible celestial realm to go join the fathers, the spirits of all their ancestors who lived a good life. And this whole realm was ruled by King Yama. The story goes that he was the very first mortal to ever die, so he's the one who discovered the path and became its guide.
What's amazing is that their hymns basically give you a step-by-step roadmap for the soul. It's all laid out. First, you follow the ancient paths your ancestors took. Then you get to meet the kings, Yama and Varuna. You leave all your sins behind and get a new, glorious body. You've got to outrun these two four-eyed guard dogs, and if you can do all that, you get to rejoice with your ancestors forever. And amid all this talk of cosmic journeys, you find these moments of just unbelievable tenderness. This line from a funeral hymn, it's a plea not to some distant god, but to the earth itself. They're asking the earth to hold the person they've lost gently, like a mother wrapping a child in her skirt. It's just so profoundly beautiful and intimate. So after this whole incredible journey, from the birth of the cosmos, through the lives of gods and mortals, all the way to the soul's final path, you might think the Rigveda would end with a nice, neat answer. But it doesn't. It leaves us right where we started, with a question. How did all this happen? Who really knows? And it's such a beautiful reminder that the deepest mysteries always endure, and that the search for answers is maybe the most human story there is.